Hello and welcome to the programme.
Coming up tonight. Inches from disaster, the growing scourge of illegal off-road bikers and the special police squad hunting them down.
Jail for the prison officer who told an inmate she wanted his babies and smuggled him contraband.
Profoundly offensive, that's how campaigners have described a mobility scooter ban on some West Yorkshire trains. And from Doncaster to world domination, South Yorkshire rocker Youngblood wins music's biggest prize. First tonight to the misery caused by illegal off-road bikers in South Yorkshire. Police in Barnsley say crops are being destroyed, land churned up and lives put at risk by those wreaking havoc on two wheels.
The force is cracking down on the issue with its rural crime team seizing dozens of bikes in the past few months during dedicated operations. Ben Basin joined officers this weekend and sent this report.
Inches from disaster. Early evening in a Barnsley park and a teenager on an off-road bike races past children in a play area. Police officers, themselves on bikes, catch up with the rider after he ditches his vehicle and flees on foot.
Stay where you are now! Stay where you are now! Now!
This 15-year-old was last week fined after pleading guilty to 5 charges. It's incidents like this which police say are terrorising the community in Barnsley, and they're cracking down. As darkness fell this weekend, the latest in a string of special operations got underway to tackle the illegal use of off-road bikes. Local neighbourhood officers were joined by colleagues from the rural crime team on bikes and a quad bike.
The advantage to these is wherever they go, we can go. One of my favourite sayings, and I think it gets said in the police quite a lot, is we only have to be lucky once. They've got to be lucky every single day to get away from us. And with our numbers, they're not getting away. We do catch them, we do stop them.
24 bikes have been seized by police in Barnsley since the start of December, 8 of which were taken off the streets this weekend alone.
We see them in parks like this one, which are used by families, by children. Just recently, actually, in this park, we had a pursuit of an off-road bike. Came straight through this park and had a near miss with a mum with a pushchair. She literally had to pull the pushchair out of the way.
How much of a priority is this for you across Barnsley?
It is #1 priority at the minute for most of my teams across Barnsley. It's one of the highest calls for service we get. In the cold light of day, the damage these bikes leave in their wake is clear to see.
So this is one of the fields where we have particular issues, this one and the surrounding fields.
At one of Barnsley's biggest farms, crops are destroyed sometimes several times a week.
We have quad bikes coming through the farm, sometimes in groups, and they'll be hunting for deer. We have just people on motorbikes that just come out for a bit of fun and just sort of travelling around the place. Obviously the damage to crop, you've spent money on doing that, growing your crop and maintaining it. People don't seem to understand that, it's a crop of wheat or barley or whatever. They just see it as a green field. So we need to get people to realise that this is their loaf of bread, basically.
This farm is made up of 800 acres of land. There are dozens of entry and exit points on the fields surrounding me. And these off-road bikers are so determined to gain access to this land, stopping them from getting on is almost impossible. But farmers like Helen say a renewed focus by the police on this issue has made a huge difference. They're now connected with officers on a WhatsApp group to share reports and intelligence. Although the criminals remain determined as ever, officers say they will chase up leads and bikers to bring an end to the misery once and for all. Ben Mason, ITV News, Barnsley.
A prison officer who told an inmate she was praying to have his babies is starting a jail sentence herself, having been sentenced to 2.5 years. Charlotte Winstanley, who's now 27, began a sexual relationship with gang member Japari Blair shortly after she started working at HMP Lindholm near Doncaster. Sheffield Crown Court heard that she also smuggled in contraband for him, including a mobile phone used to exchange intimate photos and videos.
Commuters say it's bonkers that passengers in mobility scooters are effectively being barred from certain trains in our region.
Northern Rail says that the scooters won't fit unless they're folded, but one regular passenger says that hers can fit on board and it shouldn't be a blanket ban for all.
Well, disability rights campaigners say it's profoundly offensive. Sally Simpson reports.
A regular passenger on public transport, Jan says her mobility scooter is her lifeline. Diagnosed with osteo and rheumatoid arthritis 5 years ago, she's waiting for a knee replacement. She often gets the bus from her home in Allerton Bywater and then the train to Barnsley.
I go out and about, I go all over on train. Otherwise I'd be just sat in the house. Through the week, if I want to go somewhere, I like to be able to just go somewhere.
And what's changed?
Well, every other train you go for now, no sorry you can't use a scooter, no sorry you can't use this station.
Northern Rail says passengers using mobility scooters are welcome to travel on any of its services, apart from those running on a particular type of train known as a Class 158. That's because Northern Rail says the trains aren't big enough to accommodate scooters unless they fold up. Jan says that isn't accurate and she's got the evidence to prove it.
So this is me going out of the carriage, that's the vestibule there. The guards putting the ramp down on the train and then I go down the ramp, there we are, and that's it.
But they don't accept that this shows it's an accessible train for you?
Well, they haven't done anything to allow me to go on it, but why?
And that's not the only question Jan has. She says she can't understand why the rules apply in Yorkshire but not elsewhere.
It's allowed on East Midlands Railway. You can get on with a pass with this scooter, but you can't up in this area. It don't make sense to me. I don't want anything any different to anybody else. They know I can fit on that scooter, on that train. I've proved that. Just let me on it. They've just advised me to check on the website for travelling in future, and I can check whether it's that specific train I can't get on.
Disability rights campaigners say it's yet another example of discrimination against passengers with mobility issues.
It's ridiculous and unfair. You know, would they do that for able-bodied people? Do we have to do, people who aren't wheelchair users have to search in depth every journey they take? No. And yet they expect wheelchair users and other disabled people to find this sort of information out. It's obscene.
Jan will continue to navigate the tricky path imposed by the train company and hopes to see change coming down the line. Sally Simpson, ITV News, Castleford.
Yes, I wonder what you think about that story. Do let us know. You're watching Monday's calendar and still to come. In sport, this thunderbolt fired Bradford City to victory over Yorkshire rivals Donny Rovers. That and the rest of the weekend's action coming up.
And I'm afraid sunshine will be in short supply in coming days. I'll have all the weather details for this week later on in the programme.
Thank you, Joe. OK, let's get some news in brief now. And 3 people have been arrested after a motorcyclist was killed in Brighouse in West Yorkshire. Stephen Park, who was 78 and from the area, died at the scene after the crash involving a number of vehicles near a quarry on Brookfoot Lane on Saturday afternoon. 3 drivers, 2 men and a woman were arrested on suspicion of causing death by dangerous driving. Police are appealing for witnesses.
An inmate charged with murdering the jailed paedophile Lost Prophets singer Ian Watkins has refused to leave his cell to appear in court. Rashid Goodell was due before Leeds Crown Court earlier today via prison video link. But the judge was informed that Goodell had refused to join the proceedings. The defence stated that Goodell wished to appear in person and indicated that he intends to plead not guilty to the charge.
West Yorkshire Police is joining a 4-week firearms amnesty from today, offering people the chance to dispose of weapons safely. Tests by the National Crime Agency have shown that 5 specific types of blank firearms are readily convertible and are therefore illegal. During the amnesty, people handing weapons in won't face prosecution and won't have to give their details.
A new support service for victims of stalking is being set up in West Yorkshire. Safer Steps will offer help and advice to both adults and children who've been victims. Several organisations, including Leeds' Women's Aid, are part of the programme. The team say a core aim is to address the increase in cyber stalking.
Well, next tonight, to a Huddersfield woman's long fight for justice for her mother, her best friend and 48 others who died in a fire disaster on the Isle of Man.
Jackie Hallam led a group of campaigners to meet MPs in Westminster. Now they're calling for new inquests for the victims of the Summerland holiday complex blaze in 1973.
Well, they say the current verdicts of misadventure place some blame on those who lost their lives. Joshua Stokes has the story.
Standing together, survivors and bereaved families of the Summerland fire. Almost a year to the day since their last visit, they've brought their campaign to Westminster.
My mother deserves me to carry on, and from my personal point of view, I will not give up on the people that died there.
The heat is starting to build up even as I speak to you right now.
Jackie's mum Lorna and friend Jane were 2 of the 50 people killed in this island inferno, causing widespread panic and lifelong trauma. A trauma still felt by those fighting for change, haunted by the misadventure verdict placed on their loved ones, which they say puts the blame on the victims.
As a child, you don't realise the scale of the tragedy that you've been involved in, but as an adult, I'm angry about it.
Misadventure was an injustice. It meant that everybody who entered the building that night or any time in Summerland, when a fire could have started, did so at their own risk, and that they knew they were taking a risk, which is disgraceful.
In the past 12 months, the Summerland families have been fighting a complex legal battle with the Isle of Man. Last year submitting an application for a fresh inquest into the blaze before it was rejected by the Attorney General.
During this whole time, we've been subject to intimidation tactics and delaying tactics by the Isle of Man authorities.
Faced with the latest legal barrier, the families plead with MPs, outraged by the Isle of Man's decision in a battle that for some is all too familiar.
The parallels with Hillsborough are just unbelievable. You know, you've got poor families there who are fighting just for truth.
The MPs can come together and do what we're doing now, which is raising the profile.
And we're looking at potentially taking a delegation over where we want to meet the Attorney General, we want to meet the politicians in the Isle of Man, and we want to see face to face and have them conversations.
It's time to listen and it's time to act, and as Ian said, it's time to do the right thing.
A rallying call to parliamentarians preparing to take the fight to the island as the families escalate the campaign, unwavered in their fight for justice. Joshua Stokes, ITV News, Westminster.
Well, next tonight, they're known for having 9 lives, but right now, Sheffield's unwanted cats are running out of time.
Yes, a cat shelter in the city says that it's hit breaking point and is bursting at the seams with double the number of moggies that it's built to house. Now, from doorstep drops to cats who've been left to fend for themselves, the team is seeing a real heartbreaking surge in abandoned pets.
And now it's urging people to get in touch before they go to the extreme of abandoning their animals. Adam Fowler reports.
This cat shelter in Sheffield can house around 20 cats, but at the moment it's host to nearly double that.
Cashew here was brought to the shelter about a month ago. His owner simply couldn't cope with rising costs, and it's a situation that the shelter is seeing more and more often.
Really, it's been picking up, this sort of incident, over the last year and a half, I'd say, of people abandoning cats. We've had cats abandoned outside supermarkets, cats found in woodland, locked in a cat carrier, and increasingly cats either brought to our shelter or left on the doorsteps, left in a bag.
Many of these pets have been beloved companions for years, But the shelter says the soaring cost of living has led to many pet owners making heartbreaking choices.
They might have a family of their own to feed, and then they're struggling to do that, and then they're hit with a big vet bill, or they've got cat food bills, and they're faced with tough decisions. So I think the cost of living crisis is making a big impact on cat owners, on cats, and on shelters like us.
A few years ago, Alison set up a pet food bank for those struggling to feed their animals.
Anecdotally, what kind of stories are your service users telling you?
It's so bad. You know, they're having to cook food for themselves on a campfire stove because they can't afford to put the oven on, so they're having noodles on a campfire stove. I've had people that have attended that they've been feeding their animals, their dogs, biscuits that are crunched up with gravy on because they can't afford to feed them anything else. So a lot of people are really, really struggling.
All this comes at a time when donations are a fraction of what they once were and costs are rising too. The cat shelter can spend more than £10,000 a month on vet bills alone. With no more room, they're urging animal lovers to adopt or foster, and for struggling owners to get in touch so that maybe they can help before anyone needs to say goodbye to a family friend. Adam Fowler, ITV News, Sheffield.
It's really sad, isn't it? But that is the cost of living crisis for you, isn't it?
I'm sure they'll be getting some calls to rehome some of those ones.
They certainly
Beauties.
will. The ITV Evening News continues at 6:30. Here's a look at what's happening with Mary Nightingale.
Coming up on the ITV Evening News, the PM orders an urgent review of Lord Mandelson's ties with Jeffrey Epstein. We'll have all the details, including what it means for his seat in the House of Lords. Guilty, the Russian captain of a cargo ship that collided with a tanker in the North Sea. And
the Grammy goes to Olivia Dean.
Big night for British talent at this year's Grammys. Would you join me for those stories and more at 6:30?
And we'll have more from that later in the programme. Now to the latest warning about our natural environment, with wetlands apparently vanishing faster than forests.
Yorkshire and Lincolnshire boast several wetland areas, but environmentalists here are warning that they shouldn't be taken for granted. James Webster has been to find out why they are so important.
The place where land meets water. A unique habitat supporting 40% of all plants and animals. But wetlands are under threat, disappearing faster than forests.
We've got lots of big flocks of hooper swans. They come to us from Iceland. That's where they breed and they spend the winter with us. We've also got big flocks of ducks, so you can hear the widgeon, shelduck, pintail. The shelduck actually breed with us, which is lovely to see their little ducklings. Looking forward to seeing that in the spring.
Before Roman times, it's estimated wetlands covered more than 25% of the UK. Now, it's around 3%. One that does survive is the Potterick Carr Nature Reserve near Doncaster.
We've expanded the reserve out, so over the last sort of 20 years the reserve has doubled in size, and these sites, if we don't protect them, if we don't expand them, we're in danger of losing a major part of our natural heritage in this country.
In December, the government announced that recreating lost wetland is part of its plan to prevent flooding, and the chair of Natural England also says it has other environmental benefits.
One of the things that we have hitherto paid too little attention to is the carbon that's coming out of the ground, literally emitting from the soils. But by re-wetting the ground, we can stop and in some cases reverse that process, and instead of having emissions, have the carbon going back into the soil, and wetlands are a fantastic way of doing that.
Promoting such benefits is why World Wetland Day is being marked.
What's this reed bed particularly good for?
So reed bed is another type of wetland. This reed bed is 20 hectares and there's actually only 50 reed beds in the UK of this size.
And how much water's in the bottom of there?
So it varies, but it's around about 30 centimetres. We found that's perfect for fish to breed.
And the reeds themselves, are they
particularly good for different types of wildlife as habitats?
Yeah, that's it. Even moths burrow inside the stems, but just watching them are incredible.
Research shows places like this don't just benefit wildlife either. Just 10 minutes here can improve a person's mood. One of the reasons that environmentalists hope today shines a light on these unique landscapes and why they need to be celebrated. James Webster, ITV News.
Amazing pictures
Yeah,
there.
beautiful,
I'd like to go there, wouldn't you?
Yeah, very much so. Yeah.
Right then, it's time for some sport now. Chris is with us, and it's transfer deadline time, isn't it?
It is, Lara. Yeah, busy day for some football clubs, not so for others. The window closes in less than an hour, and things, well, they're starting to hot up.
Powering local sport in the community. Octopus Energy sponsors ITV Regional Sports Report.
Now, this is a big day in the football calendar, a last chance this season for clubs to strengthen their squads in the hope of pushing for promotion or avoiding relegation. And it's been a case of will they or won't they for Leeds in their pursuit of Wolves striker Jørgen Strand Larsen, and the answer is they won't. £45 million is just too steep for them. He's off to Crystal Palace. Elsewhere, Sheffield United have been busy. 3 former Leeds men on their way to Bramall Lane in Leo Hjelde, Joe Rothwell and the former England international midfielder Calvin Phillips on loan from Manchester City. Whilst Bradford have signed young Manchester United striker Ethan Wheatley on loan, Elliot Lee has also completed a temporary transfer to Doncaster from Wrexham, and Huddersfield have added striker Bobby Wales from Swansea on loan until the end of the season.
Keep an eye on the transfer window then. Let's look back at the weekend and, well, actually, let's not look back at the weekend if you're a Leeds United fan.
No, it's difficult, wasn't it? I suppose the only crumb of comfort, Michael, is the fact that they probably lost to the eventual Premier League champions. Still, a 4-0 defeat on your own turf has got to sting somewhat. Elsewhere this weekend in the Championship, Sheffield Wednesday lost again, this time at home to Wrexham. But Sheffield United did earn a draw at Millwall. Andre Brooks with the Blades goal, his second goal in consecutive games. Into League One, and Bradford's Yorkshire derby with Doncaster was settled by this superb volley from Tyreek Wright. No stopping that one there. Bradford 5th in the table, just ahead of a resurgent Huddersfield Town, who made it 3 straight wins with a 3-2 victory at Peterborough. Cameron Humphreys there with a last-minute winner. Elsewhere, David McGoldrick made it 4 goals in his last 3 games, with the first for Barnsley against Stevenage. Wrexham-bound Davis Keeler-Dunn scoring twice as well in a 3-1 victory for the Tykes. And Rotherham jumped out of the relegation spots with a 4-0 walloping at Exeter. Leeds loanee Harry Gray once again on target for the Millers. And in League Two, Chesterfield missed out on the chance to move within a point of the playoff spot, squandering a 2-goal lead to draw at home to Walsall.
Fair bit of football there. What about the rest of the weekend sport?
Yeah, well, Lara, we've got another champion of the ring, believe it or not. This man, electrician turned boxer Josh Padley from Doncaster, claimed the European super featherweight title in Newcastle on Saturday night with a second-round stoppage of his opponent, Francis Joued Belmedi. Meanwhile, on the same bill, young heavyweight Leo Aitang from York made it 4 wins from 4 pro fights with a routine win over the Belgian Amin Bouchetta. And finally from me, the Sheffield Steelers showed no mercy against the Elite League's bottom side Fife yesterday, winning 8-0 with Stephen Harper scoring 2 of the goals. And that's all your sport from this evening.
Thank you very much indeed.
You're very welcome.
Thank you. Great stuff.
Cheers.
Now, while most of us wouldn't fancy a 3,000-mile row on a calm day, David Naggs and Richard Larking from Harrogate took on the challenge through the worst the Atlantic could throw at them. The pair, who took a break from their jobs as lawyers to complete the world's toughest row, have been out there since December, dealing with capsizes and massive storms before finally hitting dry land in Antigua just a few days ago.
And the best part? Well, they've put over £180,000 in the pot for charity. Massive respect to them both for that.
There were dark times out there, you know, where you, particularly when we had a full capsize and like half capsize within 4 hours of each other, and you are scared, and you start thinking to yourself, why have I put myself in this position when I've got a family that I love and I'm here in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean and I could die?
Brilliant stuff. Finally, congratulations are in order for Doncaster's very own Youngblood. The singer won Best Rock Performance for their rendition of Black Sabbath's Changes at the 2025 Back to the Beginning concert in Villa Park. In their acceptance speech, Youngblood paid tribute to Ozzy Osbourne as well as influences closer to home.
I deeply love this genre. It's all I've ever known. We want to dedicate this, and I want to dedicate this to everyone in the guitar shop I grew up in, and everyone in a guitar shop or a bedroom with a dream. Rock music coming back. Watch out, pop music. We're going to get you.
Leaping going on there.
There was, certainly was. I'll tell you what, I bought a guitar in a guitar shop in Doncaster when I was young.
Did you?
And look at me now. Where did that get me?
There's still time for you, isn't there?
Doubt it.
Let's go to Joe.
Today's forecast: seafood and sugar cube towns. TUI sponsors ITV Yorkshire Weather.
Hello again. We have a week stretching ahead of us, rather cloudy conditions weather-wise, and a chilly feel to proceedings as a driving easterly wind picks up over coming days. Plenty of cloud cover, rain at times, and occasionally we'll see some sleet on higher ground as colder air digs in from time to time. Low pressure down to the southwest of the UK will be pushing some rain up from the southwest, probably not reaching us until tomorrow evening. Ahead of that, rather cloudy conditions and a cold easterly airflow, keeping temperatures pegged back. Back to tonight, and fog thickens up a little more for Pennine areas, the Peak District tonight. Spits and spots of drizzle, quite a fresh easterly breeze, and with the cloud cover it means there's no danger of frost or ice. Temperature-wise, 3 or 4 degrees for most of us as we approach tomorrow morning and rather cloudy skies. The sun will be up at 7:50 and it sets tomorrow afternoon at 4:51. For many places tomorrow it'll be a rather cloudy and raw feeling start to the day, with fog lingering on Transpennine routes well until mid-morning. Spots of drizzle are possible, but essentially it's a dry day, just very dull. Sunshine really at a premium over the next few days or so, and that driving easterly wind will mean 4 or 5 Celsius feels closer to sub-zero tomorrow, so wrap up warm if you're heading out. Looking towards tomorrow evening, some rain will move through, and then the middle part of the week looks more unsettled, with Wednesday seeing light and patchy rain and cloudy skies really continuing through the rest of the week and into the weekend. Chilly air as well by night and day due to that easterly airflow, turning any rain to sleet on higher ground by night.
TUI sponsors ITV Yorkshire Weather.
I love the way Jo smiles through such grim weather, doesn't she?
Absolutely, the smiling assassin. Yeah. That's about it from us. The ITV Evening News continues with Mary, and I'll be back with the late news at 10:30.
But from all of us on the calendar team, good night.
Bye-bye.